Hi everyone. One day, on the 20th of July 2023, Lizzie was here, laughing, singing, enjoying her 18th birthday. And the next, she was gone, taken into a world of isolation, silence and control. A world we couldn't reach into. A world that stifled her voice and cut the threads that connected us. I thought it would be quick to resolve. I thought the truth would be obvious. I thought the system would work. I was wrong. Instead of clarity, we met confusion. Instead of protection, bureaucracy. Instead of justice, delay, and delay, and delay. The days turned into weeks, the weeks into months, and the months into years. Looking back now, I can see something I couldn't see then. The crisis was never going to be resolved quickly. The truth had to surface slowly, painfully slowly, through a series of events that at the time felt unbearable. There were moments that broke us, moments that felt like betrayal, moments when the system failed Lizzie and failed us. But each of those traumatic moments exposed something that needed to be seen. A lie, a pattern, a manipulation, a failure of safeguarding, a system that didn't understand FASD and didn't want to. And without those moments, we wouldn't be where we are today, standing with absolute determination to resolve this crisis for the sake of Lizzie and all vulnerable young people like Lizzie. Waiting is not passive. Waiting is not giving up. In the early days, I thought waiting meant weakness. I thought it meant surrender. I thought it meant giving up the fight. But waiting, I've learned, sometimes is the fight. Waiting is choosing not to collapse under despair. It is choosing not to react in ways that would harm the long-term outcome. Waiting is choosing to hold the line. And it is choosing to trust that God is present even when he feels silent. Faith in a crisis is about trusting that the waiting is not wasted. Something is shifting. It's subtle, it's fragile. It's not the breakthrough itself yet, but a sense that the separate threads are starting to entwine. There is a hint of momentum. And the story, Lizzie's story, is becoming harder to ignore. If you're listening to this because you're in your own season of waiting for justice, for healing, for reconciliation, for truth, I want to say this gently. Waiting hurts. Waiting costs. Waiting changes you. But waiting is not the enemy. Sometimes waiting is the only path that leads to the outcome that will last. Maybe the waiting has been preparing the ground for something larger than we dared hope. What if Lizzie, fragile, loopy, wonderful, vulnerable Lizzie, becomes a catalyst for systemic change? What if this story exposes the failures of safeguarding for individuals with FASD? What if this becomes a light for others trapped in similar situations? After all, if Lizzie had been released quickly, quietly, conveniently, none of this would have been exposed. The patterns, the manipulation, the deliberate isolation, the systemic failure to understand vulnerability, safeguarding, FASD and abuse. The longer this has gone on, the clearer it has become that Lizzie's isolation is not accidental. It is imposed. And every additional day of silence adds weight, like drops of water behind a dam. The pressure builds. The truth becomes harder to deny. Jane and I and Lizzie's whole family are still in the waiting. We are still in the not yet. But we are no longer in despair. As we stand here 2.5 years after the day Lizzie was taken, we hold on to this. The story is not over. The wind is shifting, and hope, after so long, is beginning to rise again. It feels as though the countdown to breakthrough has begun. Thank you for listening, for sharing, for caring, for those human responses of, "This is horrendous, how can this possibly happen?" We agree. That's why it is essential to tell this story. Thank you again. Until next time, bye for now.